G'day guys, welcome to Austool Talk. We are back today. We've got the latest Makita 5-inch brushless grinder, the DGA 504. Makita's just released this. Have also released a DGA 505, which is the same, a 5-inch brushless grinder, but with a paddle switch. So, Dwayne, what do we got?
So we tested this one out in two ways. We put a cutting disc on it, and we went through some 25mm square hollow steel, and it went through that like butter. We also put a flat disc on it and tried to buff up some steel plate. And in both tests, the big takeaway for this tool is, man, it has some pull on.
It's a beast, isn't it?
We had to like lean on it, and even then it didn't want to stop.
Yeah, which we haven't been used to with the Makita. Makita's copped a bit of grief with their older unit, the predecessor, which I've forgotten the model right off the top of my head now, sorry, the BGA 452. This one was quite easily to install. One-handed, you could install this fairly easily. This one, it was amazing. When it got cracked out of the box, I was disappointed. I had a bit of a sook to Dwayne. I'm like, oh man, they've dropped it down to 8,500 RPM versus the 10. As you'll see in the footage, Dwayne was right when he said, doesn't matter about the speed, the torque is what will count, and it really did come through.
Yeah, so no load speed is just that. It's at no load. As soon as you hit the material, what matters is how much it slows down.
Yeah.
And the old one slows down a heck of a lot faster.
It's huge. Yeah.
This thing just, it has mountains of power. So there are two things that are important to me in a cordless grinder. One is power, and the other is runtime, because they go through the juice.
Yeah.
This one has all the power and it's brushless.
Yep.
So you're going to get heaps more runtime, especially if you go and chuck a 4 or 5 amp hour Makita battery on it.
Yeah, we were running it with a 3 amp hour on.
Yep.
We didn't do a time test. We were more wanting to see how quick we could install this thing. That was one of the main things. See how it goes, see what some of the new features are on it. The flat disc was extraordinarily hard to get it to stall.
It was.
Really nice.
Really impressive for a cordless unit.
Yeah.
I think Makita are second to get a brushless grinder out there, so good on Makita for getting onto that early. I think they've got some other brushless stuff coming out. Jigsaw and circular saw and that sort of stuff, so that's great to hear from Makita users. A couple of the features of this tool. First one was a quick lock guard. So on the top here, you can, without a tool, open it up and twist the guard around any way you want, which is really handy. As with lots of other guards on the market, Makita aren't the only one. You can't turn it all the way in each direction,
the way the mechanism works,
because the lock is going to stop you from going all the way around.
But certainly get you out of trouble, because you can use it straight up and down, flick it to the left, flick it to the right. It gets you out of trouble most times.
That's right. So we like that.
Yep.
Another feature that they have said is that you can change the gear housing and turn it.
Yeah, change the head rotation with 4 screws, 4 Phillips head screws. Pop it out without yanking it out, because that will mess with the motor, etc. Pop the 4 screws out, turn it whichever way you want, lock it straight back in. Quite simple and easy.
You wouldn't want to do it all the time, but if you were constantly using the tool in a certain orientation that you preferred it that way, then you might do that, especially if you're using the 505 with the paddle.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is, I was holding this, if I want to cut like this, to do lots of cutting, then my whole palm is going to be over that paddle if this was the paddle version, and I don't really like that. It doesn't feel particularly safe.
No.
So what you would do in that case, I think, is turn the head so that you could have your fingers on the paddle instead.
Yeah, especially from the pictures that we've seen so far of the paddle one, the moulding is very, very similar.
Yeah.
And as we noted with this, your hand is sort of forced to be in a position with this. We love it, don't get us wrong, but you'll notice there's a considerable difference in height.
Yes.
You've also got a bit of difference in weight, but with this one, you're sort of forced there, whereas you can almost choke the old BGA 452 a little bit, and which I quite like being up closer. This one, you actually feel like you're a little further back, which with myself and the flat disc in particular, because you're that further back, you started looking for that handle, which I very rarely put handles on grinders unless it's a 9-inch and it starts getting gnarly. So with this one, you did actually look for it because of that length.
Yeah.
I quite like it though. Like it's a great unit.
Yeah.
Does have the fuel gauge on the tool, as Makita seems to be doing now. So really happy about that. You can actually check as you're going along.
And just before we move away from it, the height and the distance away from the disc are because they've given you a nice thin handle in the middle there.
Yep.
Anyone who uses a grinder a lot knows that you can't get your fingers all the way around them. They do wear on your hand and on your wrist.
It's uncomfortable.
So we do like that they've followed in the tracks of some other
Yep.
brands, and that is much more comfortable than a traditional grinder grip.
I think some of the big man hands are gone. You got girly hands like mine. You're searching for that slightly smaller handle.
Yeah, so that's really good, and the extra sort of 400 grams maybe that this longer unit has is probably negated by the comfort level
Yeah.
of holding the tool, so that's really good.
Yep. What we also did like, they've actually changed the breathing setup on this. Normally you would have quite coarse openings here.
Yeah.
They've got a fine mesh, which as we found, as soon as we started using the flap disc, it did actually look like it was clogging up quick, but all that was, it was taking the rusty dust and it was actually stopping it before it got dragged through the tool.
Yep.
Now you're not going to have massive drums with brushless units. The old field type and armature winding type, you would actually find that this material would often sandblast the armature and the windings as it was going through.
Yep.
You're going to have a lot less drums, but the less crap you've got going through your machine, that's got to be a win. So I really like the fact that Makita's put this nice fine mesh,
Yep.
and it feels quite tough. So
That's it. This is compatible with just about all of Makita's batteries, not the 1.3 slims, but the 1.5s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s. So that's great that they've got mostly backwards
Yep.
compatible
yeah,
with all their batteries. So love the power, love that it's brushless. We love that they've finally given us a 5-inch.
yeah.
We do away with the 4.5-inch disc.
Trying to kick out 4.5 if we can.
That's
what
right.
I shouldn't say didn't like, but what we are surprised at, because it's a 5-inch, because it's brushless, just new on the market, it seems that around the $249 is the price. Some places $279 we've seen.
Yep.
Probably a little too used to seeing the BJ 452 for $99 as a skin.
Yeah.
Hoping this comes down a little bit, but if you are a tradie, you want a decent cordless grinder, you want to go the 5-inch, it's worth every cent of the $249.
Yeah.
It really is, because you're going to struggle to store this unless you've been a chump and like we were and deliberately try and stall it.
Yeah. Yeah. So at 250, it kind of puts it on par with the competition in terms of a brushless grinder.
Yep.
It's not out of this world. It's just a big jump. If you don't use your grinder all the time,
Yeah.
then you probably just stick with the old 4.5
Yep.
because of its cost point.
Yeah.
But we love the build quality. We love the performance.
Yeah.
Uh,
Really well done. Makita's got an absolute belter.
Yeah, that's right. And with their brushless hammer drill that came out not long ago, that we just thought was amazing.
Yep.
It's really good to see Makita kicking some goals, because we have been a little bit critical of some of their other tools.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really good addition to their lineup.
Yeah. Good.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
We'll catch you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.